Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Zach Cherry and Ellie Kemper about the Great American Baking Show Celebrity Edition, Celebrity Holiday, premiering on the Roku channel December 2nd. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you for having us.
I mean, I don't want to assume, but was there a lot of taste testing allowed in this? Was there a lot of, did you have chance? I mean, you can't assume because you're hosting. You got to host, you got to be in the zone, right? Zach, was there some opportunities to kind of say, like, what's going on here? Like,
Absolutely. We have the best of both worlds, which is we were able to eat everything, but we didn't have to. So we could pick and choose the best stuff or the stuff that looks the most interesting. But yes, we definitely got to try some pretty great stuff.
Absolutely. Ellie, what is the mindset for hosting specifically? Like, does it change a little bit? It's not the kind of like scripted storytelling and everything, but does the mindset kind of change a lot with a gig like this where you're like a host?
Well, I think I felt like we were sort of at times tasked with the idea of keeping people in good spirits and not being cheerleaders. Like they're adults. They don't need a cheerleader, but keeping spirits light because, things can get pretty stressful and heated in the tent. I'm saying that like a little oven pun as everyone was baking. But it's a different mentality, but it's a nice mentality.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for everyone that kind of wants to check it out, I mean, this is, it's going to be on Roku, and these are, celebrities kind of going head to head and everything. And, some of these celebrities have been on our show. We've interviewed some of these celebrities and everything. Zach, what was it like kind of seeing everyone talking? And maybe did you know any of these contestants before the competition, or did you meet them all for the first time?
It was very fun. I had met a few of them before, mostly via the comedy world. But quite a few of them I had not met before, but it was fun watching them in the tent. And I think they all had fun, both with how kind of exciting it was, but also the competition. Everyone was there to compete, but also there to just enjoy the moment. So it was great.
Ellie, when you were kind of brought this project to your attention and you're looking at it and everything, do you think about the fact that it's we love watching food competitions, we love seeing it at everything, and we love eating specific sweets around the holidays and everything? Did you think about this opportunity? Because when I was watching this show, it made me think I want to try something like that. I want to do that as well. Was that kind of the conversations too, where basically getting people to potentially try these recipes and do their own baking competitions at home?
Yes. No. So do you mean, were you hoping that the enthusiasm on the show would leak over into real? Yes, I do think that. I mean, I think that it's though I will admit I'm not that great a baker, I do think it's something that I think the reason this show is so universally loved is that it brings together families, friends, and even if you might not be the best baker, it's so much fun to watch people create these recipes. But also the greatest gift of all, sorry, but it's the phrase that came into my head, would be to impart these recipes and knowledge to the audience and the hope that they too might be able to try something, even if it's not as advanced or sophisticated as what the amateur bakers were doing. Yeah, it's a pretty nice, hobby, even if it's not your occupation.
You're just watching with your family and then instantly a baking competition breaks up.
Right.
Can you imagine that? People go in the kitchen to see what ingredients they have, and they're like, let's do it right now.
Let's just get going.
That's kind of what the technical challenges feel like, because they don't know anything going in, and it's just all right, here you go. So yeah. I would love to see that.
It's incredible. Both of you are storytellers and have worked on a lot of an amazing body of work. Zach, I'm just curious because, there's a lot of things you mentioned, the comedy world, and you work on something light like this, which is a nice, Great American Baking Challenge. And then, you work on projects that aren't very light, that are the exact opposite of it, Severance on Apple TV+. Were you hoping that was going to kind of happen? Is that something you think about, being able to work on a lot of different kind of projects and genres, or did it kind of just happen?
A little bit of both, you know. I think it has kind of just happened, but I definitely am excited to like try things I haven't tried before. So I think that is part of what excited me about this. Like I was a fan of the show and I was like, hey, I've never done anything like this. It seems like it would be a lot of fun. And guess what? I was right. It was super fun. So it worked out great.
And Ellie, kind of to add to that a little bit, I mean, when they watch the celebrity edition, you know, there's a lot of, you know, banter and trash talking and everything. And you've been on a lot of those shows and movies where there's a lot of kind of those great like one-liners and everything. Did it sometimes feel like you were watching like a show when like Marshawn and Darcy, like everyone was talking? Did it feel like that a little bit?
It was really, there was such a like in that vein, there was a real difference between, or in that way, I should say, there was a real difference between the celebrity edition and what I'll call the civilian edition, which is that our celebrities are performers. So it's like, even Marshawn, who's an athlete, and not technically like an employed entertainer, he's still like I think every other person was some kind of like either actor or host or entertainer. And so there was that like energy in the tent, I thought, where they were, yes, their trash talk was sort of like, I don't know, performative. So that was really funny to watch. We said civilian in the show. So the civilian bakers, the amateur bakers in the main series, it's sort of like almost more delightful when they trash talk, because I don't know, they're just being funny.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's clear
in
that
a really sincere way.
It's clear that they don't trash talk much in any other circumstance.
Right.
It's like, I feel like that, especially for like Marshawn as an athlete, I'm sure he's very comfortable with that. But yes, it was quite different with the civilians.
Yes. Yeah. They were all like, weren't they? I feel like half of them were engineers, right, Zach? Anyway, it was funny.
I think the best thing about, you know, seeing, you know, the Celebrity Holiday Edition, the ending is obviously there's one winner. We're not going to spoil who the winner is. I know who the winner is. I'm not going to say it.
Not a big deal.
But everyone's like comments about the fact that they were like, I feel like I was a winner. I feel like this experience was what I need right now. Like, Zach, that was pretty awesome hearing that, right?
Yeah. And I think that's actually something that's true of baking always, because you put in so much work, and then at the end you have this like tangible thing that you can look at and be proud of and share with people. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Ellie, to add to that as well, you know, seeing the competitive nature of a lot of these amateur bakers, celebrities and everything, did it also, like, for you kind of getting back to the hosting, like you're doing this and seeing the energy, like there's a lot of like, there's energy everywhere, right? There's the competition, there's the judges. Does this make you want to work like more on hosting and like maybe judging? Like, does that kind of happen a little bit specifically?
Interesting. Well, Zach was such a fantastic co-host that the whole experience was made great by him. So I do feel like that's a no-brainer. But in terms of hosting in general, yeah, I mean, it's fun to, because it's so funny that we got to be sort of in charge, where like we have no real like credentials to be hosting a baking show. I mean, that sounds weird. We're actors, but our background in baking isn't great, but still we were there like, okay, now what are you doing? I loved also when Zach and I would taste the bakes, like again, off camera, that he and I would weigh into each other on what we thought, because it was just funny. Because it's like, sure, of course, a regular person should be talking about how it tastes, but it's like, we don't know what we're talking about. So in that way, it felt like, okay, we got to sneak into the tent and like run the show, but it's really Paul and Prue running the show.
And Zach, did it feel like it didn't feel like acting or storytelling at times, right? Like you're just there, you know, hosting a show with Ellie, like they're going at it. Like does it feel like acting kind of, or like not really? I'm curious about that actually.
No, I would say it more felt like, I don't know, like hosting some weird dinner party or something, because we're kind of like, you know, keeping everyone on track. We're telling them how much time they have left. We're introducing everyone. When things happen, we're in charge of going over and being like, is everything okay? You know, so it kind of felt more like just, emceeing or hosting a dinner or something like that.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. What was it like hosting the Great American Baking Show? Felt like hosting a pretty chaotic dinner party.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it was. was like we had, yeah, right. You had to keep things moving along. Yeah.
Which is awesome. What are those conversations like with the judges specifically? I mean, there's obviously like they're very well versed in doing this because there's the British version. Like, what are those conversations like with the host, with the judges, Ellie?
Oh, the conversation. You know, I remember there was one. This was off camera, but what was it? Was it the ice? Was it the ice cream cakes? Oh, I shouldn't give anything away. There was something involving ice cream, and Prue was like, "Please try this. You two must try this." And so we tried it, and then I don't know how it happened that we were trying every single one, and by like the fourth one, Prue was like, "Are you going to try them all?" She was like, "I'm done. This is I thought it was I wanted you to try one, but you're taking too long." So our conversations with them. I don't know why that stuck out to me as an example. Our conversations with them were very easy. They're just nice people, even though, as I said before, maybe to you, I can't, but that they're just like really, they have such a noble presence. I thought that it felt like, oh, I wanted to sit up straight with and like be on my best behavior with them, as opposed to how I normally like to slouch and be on my bad behavior. I don't know, but yeah, they were very easy to talk to.
Was there some moments too where like they would say certain like maybe measurement terms or certain things and you were like, what was that? Like, what is that? Like, was there any of those conversations at all? Like try to figure out certain things? Like I always hear like all of these cooking terms. And I'm like, I'm not sure. Can you say that again?
Yes, every day. And it was also double because we shot it over in London. So sometimes it would be Britishisms that I didn't understand. And sometimes it would be French baking words that I didn't understand. I remember at one point, I don't remember the specifics, but someone was pronouncing a type of cake. And I said something like, "Are you just mispronouncing like the word prosciutto?" And they were like, "No, that's not, this is just a different word." So that's what I meant in terms of my level of, vocabulary knowledge.
Two super quick questions before we wrap up. Ellie, for you, I find this interesting because you look at a lot of these baking competition shows, cooking shows in general, there's no shelf life for these. We could watch them all the time and never get tired of them. There's a lot of projects that you've worked on, like The Office, that there's no shelf life. Do you think about that you have had a chance to work on these like projects that like basically will never go away?
Well, that's such a nice thing to say. That, yeah, I think about it now that you mentioned it. That's what a nice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people rediscovered The Office in the pandemic, and then of course we were talking earlier about like the Bake Off. The British Bake Off was, I thought, such a comfort during the pandemic. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to. Well, we'll see. Listen, it's early on in the universe, so we'll see if they're still resonating with people. In how long is is it a billion years? So for now, it's nice that the shelf.
There's no shelf life now. And very quickly, Zach, it's interesting because for TV watching, there's passive TV, in my opinion, and there's kind of active TV in terms of the audience, right? Stuff you can kind of just throw on in the background and kind of enjoy, like this show specifically, the Great American Baking Show. And then there's like the one where you have to be like, pay attention the whole time, like Severance and Apple TV Plus. Is it refreshing to be able to, in the last couple of years for you specifically, work in both those realms? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Sort of like we talked about earlier, I love just being able to do new things that I haven't done yet. So, and I totally watch TV the same way. There's certain shows that are like comfort shows. I might be doing other things and kind of have them on. And then there are shows where I got to put the phone away and really sit down and lock in. So it has definitely been cool to work in both of those worlds.
Oh, absolutely. The Great American Baking Show Celebrity Holiday is going to be premiering December 2nd on the Roku channel. Zach, Ellie, so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Great chatting with you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Happy holidays.
Oh, you too.
Yeah. You too. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Zach Cherry and Ellie Kemper and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.